I'm the CIO of a $15 billion asset manager, so I use a lot of complex math. My view is that the secret to valuing Bitcoin is by looking at supply and demand. I know that's complex, but I have even more secret. Rising demand plus fixed supply equals higher prices. I find it hard that people argue with this. I think it's just fact. So here is our valuation model for Bitcoin that we've been sharing. I'll get out of the way since people are taking pictures. But there's one thing on here that I want to emphasize. What we've done here is we look at all the markets we think Bitcoin could address. Those are listed on the left. We look at the size of the markets, and then we take the historical CAGR of those markets and project them into the future. So you can see the size of the markets. Our base case, which I actually think is under-optimistic, that gets to 1.3 million by 2035, is based primarily on Bitcoin going from 9% as big as gold to 25% as big as gold. That's a really conservative assumption, right? If you think about Bitcoin's journey over the last 10 years, going from 0 to 9%, it's an infinite increase. If it only gets to a quarter as big as gold, you're talking about Bitcoin at $1.3 million. If it gets to as big as gold, you can multiply that by 4 and you're in the $7 million range. If you think it's going to be bigger than gold, you get into the $10 million range. It really doesn't take very extreme assumptions to get into millions of dollars of Bitcoin's value. The mistake I see people making all the time is assuming the gold market, which we proxy against, is fixed. In fact, it's been growing significantly over time. As it grows, the target for Bitcoin's market grows. And again, if we just get to 25% of the value, you're talking about $1 million Bitcoin. Our model, just to put it in context, is not really that optimistic. We added some additional models here. They all have different time horizons, 2028, 2033, et cetera. But what you'll see is that almost everyone coalesces around this north of $1 million. And the reason for that, again, is that the assumptions to get there are actually relatively modest. The store value market continues to grow, not faster, which I think it will, but you project it just continues to grow as it's been growing, and then Bitcoin gets incrementally more share, not huge amount, not matching gold. Again, we're trying to be conservative because we're talking to skeptical institutions, and you end up at 1.3 million. Again, I think that's really conservative.